Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Charlie Bengel Jr., CEO of Remax Allegiance. Welcome to the Allegiance Way Show and another edition of the Daily Dose. My co-host, as usual, is coaching extraordinaire Amy Lassen. Amy, good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, everybody.
So today we are discussing your online presence, but I think I want to talk about mindset for a minute. We've heard there's lots of things going on in the US right now. It's June 2nd. I feel like, and I talked to some folks about this in group coaching this morning, we were getting used to the new normal with COVID.
Yeah.
And then we've been hit with, unrest in the country and protests. And I don't want to, certainly get into the politics of that or the reality of that and the right and wrong of protests and looting and whatnot. But I do think we should talk about for a second the idea that the importance of staying away from news. There was somebody in group coaching this morning who was saying that she had been distracted by all of this, and she's just not been working at the level that she needs to work to reach her goals. And somebody else on the group said, you've got to shut off the news. And because she said she basically had CNN on all day and it was just, doing bad things to her.
Yeah.
And I remarked to you a few minutes ago that I needed to go to bed earlier and that I've been on Twitter too late at night because I've been concerned about whether someone's going to set my condominium on fire. Is that likely? It's not. There's nothing I can do about it from 850 miles away anyway. And it's certainly not good for one's mindset. So I'm encouraging people to just review the goals, say your gratitudes or write down your gratitudes every day. And, really the fact is money oftentimes gives us the ability to make a difference in this world, a positive difference in this world.
Yeah.
And if we are executing our business plans and making the money that we want to make, then that enables us to contribute to organizations that are going to change the world to a level that we want. And what I want may be different than what you want and different from what our viewers may want. So that's the specifics aren't my point.
Sure.
My point is when we stop doing business and get focused on the news and often things that we have little control over, it doesn't do anything for us, ultimately. So, I think taking the advice of the agent that said, turn off the news, turn off the news, turn off the news, right? Being informed is different than becoming obsessively, a news junkie where you have it on all day.
I think that's the absolute distinction, Charlie. And I don't even think any of us who watch news a lot or often or throughout the day could justify calling ourselves a news junkie.
Right.
It's just a stream of nonsense. And I'm not talking about the protests.
Yep.
I'm saying the news cycle in general, because they need to fill all 24 hours.
Yep.
They repeat themselves. There's a lot of editorializing. Right. So I think informing yourself is absolutely vital. And so I want to encourage everyone that I think, Charlie, we're talking about just with regard to focus and mindset and being focused on what matters. This is the challenge for most realtors every day.
Right.
I sat down to do the thing that I knew I was supposed to do, and I got called away by something that was either fun or distracting or tragic or important. But with regard to something like this is an ongoing crisis. And yes, we need to be well informed.
Yes.
So set aside the time for yourself to go to a really, really reputable news source to get caught up on what you've missed while you were working, and providing, like you said, Charlie, keeping your business going so that you do have the financial means to make an impact in the world. But, make sure you check in on your clock. Easier said than done for those of us who are reactive by nature. Right. But I think that that's just absolutely vital.
Or subscribe to a newspaper and you read it once that day and then you wait for the news to land on your doorstep again the next day. Life used to be simpler when it came to news before the 24-hour cable news shows and all this and that. You got your news in the morning by reading the Washington Post in my case. And then, you could turn on the evening news for 30 minutes or whatever, but it wasn't sensationalized. And the next morning you would read the Washington Post again. So, I didn't want to belabor that point, but I've been hearing from a number of agents who are having trouble distancing themselves from the news, concentrating, and their business is suffering because of it. I mean, that really is the theme of, I wanted to do this, I didn't do this because of that.
Well, but
And
I think, but the other thing for those of you who are really, really hurting right now because this national crisis is breaking your heart,
mhm,
I don't want Charlie and I to sound insensitive in any way. I think the truth is, even if this is the single most important thing to you right now, is to pay attention to this, watching it for hours on end, watching the same spin and the same recycle and maybe some editorializing actually doesn't help you to find your way through it and to find the thing that you want to contribute. So
right.
I still say, set aside some times to check in with it and get some clarity, and then figure out what you can do to make things better.
I like that. Okay, so let's pivot back to your online presence and start by asking, what are we talking about and why is this important?
Well, we live in a digital world, right? When was the last time you found a resource or a person or anything without checking your phone or a computer?
Right.
It's kind of scary. I think we've all experienced that. What would you do, if you went on a cruise and your phone didn't work? Like, how do we function without checking in with the
Yep.
internet? And that's the same for the consumer public. And so all of us, we are businesses. The online presence of every single one of our businesses is essential.
Yes, and most of the people are Googling us before they meet with us, right? I was saying earlier today that even when somebody is referred to us, that somebody is more than likely going to be Googling us.
Mm-hmm.
And if our online presence is lousy, right, they may not even call us. We may not even know that we missed the opportunity.
Sure.
So, the question is, when's the last time you Googled yourself, right? And then what did you see? And you want to be incognito, open up the incognito window when you do it, because it gives you different results than if you've done it before and there's cookies assigned to, the search, right? So, what does that online presence look like? And I think we're going to get into the consistency of it, right? I mean, do you have a different photo on every page? Is one of them from when you were 25, and then you've got one that when you're 50 and one that when you're 30, right? Do you have your old profile for when you used to work at Weichert still assigned to, Yelp, but you've been with Remax for 5 years, right? So what's the photo look like? What's the brand look like?
Yeah.
Do you have a logo? You don't have to have a logo. You can use the Remax logo if you happen to be a Remax agent and you're watching this.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk to me about your thoughts on that in general.
Oh my goodness, I think you nailed it, right? I love the brokerage switch too, because I think most of us have probably switched brokerages once in our lifetime.
Sure.
So one of the first things on your checklist needs to be go through all your online accounts and bring them up to date, which may feel like a nuisance, but it's just something that needs maintenance. So I actually created an outline here. Let's jump in and add this to the stream. Just the basics. When you Google yourself, you want to look for, Charlie, just what you said. What is the consistency of your brand? Your bio, your photo, your logo, your colors, your value proposition. Do they know what you stand for, right? Is it so watered down that they can't differentiate you from anyone else? What do people see when they Google you? And then you already said the reason to use an incognito browser is your browsing history remembers you, and it may show you that you're super important and that you're the only Charlie Bengel in the world, and there may be others. Although in your case, I think it mostly is you.
Well, my father still shows up too, actually. So it's kind of a weird, yeah.
So I would say here are the free accounts that you could keep in mind. And Charlie, I'm hoping you and I can think of some more that we are forgetting. But the obvious one: Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. When you're in the Remax ecosystem, there's a public-facing profile that somebody will see when they go to Remax.com.
Mm-hmm.
The Remax.net side, on the agent-facing side, when you go to give and receive referrals, you have a profile there that only other agents will see. So make sure that's extremely thorough. Google My Business, LinkedIn, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram. These are all things that you have access to that are free to you. And we want to talk a little bit more in detail about what we're saying. Can you think of any that we left off, Charlie?
Well, I mean, so you also have the list, and maybe we can grab the list and post it to the Allegiance Way of all of the referral sites, right, that you typically don't have to pay for to be on, but you may get leads from it. And then in most cases, you're going to pay, at closing. HomeLight is an example of that, right? So there's lots of those. That's not really the topic of today's discussion, but it's, by the way, with HomeLight, they've created a profile for almost all of us automatically, and I can tell you that it's wrong like all the time. Like the data that they have on me
Yeah.
is not accurate. It says that I was licensed since I think the last 6 or 7 years, which is not the case. They pulled my DC license for that, but I've been licensed in Virginia for the last 20. So I found that out by Googling myself. And by the way, you know, I'm not really a practicing agent. I don't need those particular stats on the web, and you can actually opt out of HomeLight if you do not want a HomeLight profile.
Sure.
Many of you that do this full time, having a HomeLight profile is probably your friend. You just want to make sure that it's, you know, that it's accurate. So that's just one example. There are many other referral sites that once you're set up, there's a chance that they'll give you leads, and then you just pay, you know, 25, 30, 35% at closing, which I think is a bargain. You know, and I know we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but the idea that you don't have to pay monthly, you just pay at closing, I think is great. And then if you do your job the way that Amy and I have been talking about, by having a listing process or a buyer process, you should just be getting one deal from that particular lead, right? It's multiple deals, right? That person should be referring you. So, you know, that makes that referral fee even cheaper, even less, right? Totally more worth it. So, you know, that's something to think about when people kind of turn their nose up at referral fees. I think they're being a little bit short-sighted, but that's probably a discussion for another day. So I think starting with Zillow is the most important.
Okay.
Some Zillow profiles are connected to the MLS. Some are not. I am often surprised at the inaccuracy of the Zillow data. You know, I'll get a new Tom Ferry coaching client, and we'll have a discussion, and I always pull up their Zillow profile, and I'll ask, you know, is this an appropriate depiction of your business? And oftentimes the answer is no, right? The number of sales is not right. You have an opportunity on there to have an all-time number of sales. A lot of agents, that is a huge number.
Yeah.
And that number often is not correct because the number that's on there is only since they started having the partnership with the MLS. So, you know, the last several years, the 20 before that's not depicted on there. Having your photo on there, the bio, right? If you filled out your first Zillow profile many years ago and you've not been back since, you can have a profile, right? You can write about yourself. And so, you know, there's ways to make it look much nicer. And it's good to have that show up. And we know, I think you know people, I know people that they've gotten business from Zillow for free. We're not talking about Premier Agent paying per month or paying at closing, right? We're talking about just people Googling, because there's 70 million eyeballs that appear on Zillow.com every month. So we want to make sure that we have a powerful presence on there, not just the profile, but also reviews, which we're going to get into in a minute.
And if people don't know, you can add your own sales manually. Absolutely.
Yes.
And if it's inaccurate, please do that. Zillow has a really cool article on how to write a compelling bio.
Okay.
I actually used it to teach a class once. So go read that article. Just Google, you know, Zillow, how to write a bio. And it talks about quit pounding your chest and making it about you and make it about your service. Make it about what the consumer can expect. So some really good things to take advantage of there, Charlie. I think you're making some really good points. We've talked before about the 360 app that Zillow has. You can make videos for your listings. So yeah, Zillow's a great place to start.
Yeah, and you know, love them or hate them, they're not going anywhere. So we might as well take advantage of the free tools that they offer. Sure.
Do you want to answer Nancy's question?
So would you say it's okay to pay a 20% referral fee plus a setup fee? Well, I guess it depends on how much the setup fee is.
Right.
But generally, yes.
Probably,
Yeah, generally, yes.
I mean, unless the whole thing is just goofy and no one's ever heard of it and there are no leads.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, what is that lead source? I think is or portal is a good question. These other ones on here, I would never. So when I'm sending a referral to someone else, I typically look for Platinum Club.
$2,000.
Yeah, that seems high to me. I that needs to be some sort of a guarantee of leads or closings, not just impressions or whatever.
Yeah.
Or tell them that they can take that off the first closing, right?
That's right.
So, you know, I typically try to refer in the Remax system to Platinum Club. Those are people that make 250 more, you know, in a given year and who have the CRS designation. that's just me. Everybody has their standard, but you also have to have your photo on there. I've never referred a client anywhere to somebody that has a balloon head as a photo, and we joke about balloon heads because that, it's the Remax balloon if you don't have a photo online. So those of you watching, Remax.net, Remax.com, make sure that those are set up, because there are opportunities for referrals. There are lots of referrals that are passed around these ecosystems, and you want to make sure that you have that really good online presence. It's free to set up, and
And in the class that I teach, I encourage Remax agents to be really thorough in their profile that other agents will see.
Yeah, for sure.
Be creative. They're looking for somebody who's going to be a personality match for their client. So, you studied opera in college, put it in there, baby.
Right. These other ones, Google My Business, I think we're going to talk about that in a minute. We'll actually set that up for agents in our company for free.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is somewhat self-explanatory. That's one of the, what do you call it? Leave it, set it and forget it. Thank you. So Nancy Alert says, I've gotten referrals from different Remax offices around the world because of my photo and bio. There you go.
Nice.
There you go. Appreciate that testimonial. So yeah, I think, LinkedIn, once it's set, unless you're switching jobs and brokerages on a more often, I want to say consistent basis, but that's not something that you want to be consistently doing. Then you can kind of set it and forget it. And it does show up when somebody Googles you, the LinkedIn profile does show up.
Well, and I want to clarify something to those who don't know. Charlie and I are not saying that that's all LinkedIn is for. It's just, if you need to overthink which one gets a lot of your attention on a daily basis, it could be LinkedIn. There are agents who do that, but it's not required, and it's better that you have it and not overthink it than not. But like for me, for example, setting up an Instagram account and never touching it again is pointless.
Right.
The only reason to have it would be to add content, whereas to not even be set up on LinkedIn, that people couldn't search me out and connect to me, that would be a misstep.
Yeah, I think if you're the person that says, I hate social media, I don't want to be on social media, okay, fine. I don't agree, but there's no reason why you can't be on LinkedIn, right? It's not gonna, you're not gonna get drawn into LinkedIn like you would Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, I mean, if you're suffering from insomnia, just spend a little bit of time on LinkedIn one evening. It'll knock you right out. Yelp. So we've certainly known agents over time that have done really well with Yelp. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean getting paying for advertising on there. I mean having a robust profile with photos and then asking for reviews on Yelp. There's been some agents that have done really well with that. I don't think that that's where we start, though. Mm-hmm. I would start with Zillow when it comes to the profile and the reviews. Instagram and Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I am not on Instagram. I have fought the urge because I'm afraid of getting sucked into yet another something.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people that just can't believe that I wouldn't be on Instagram, and I just, I'm afraid that it's gonna take over more of my brain cells, and I'm not ready to give more brain cells to social media right now. I deleted Facebook from my phone. Mm-hmm. I can still get to it by typing in facebook.com.
Right.
And I'll occasionally do that because I do get a lot of notifications because of the show and everything else. But I used to spend too much time there, and now, I don't. So,
Charlie,
it's a little different.
Because I find that I get kind of emphatic and I say things similar to what you do, and then my clients hear me differently. My coaching clients hear me differently. I intend, which is, Amy, you said Instagram is pointless. No, definitely didn't say that.
Right.
So what Charlie is saying is focus will take you everywhere. I know a woman who is all in on YouTube, and it really is her only shtick, and she got so good at it. She actually teaches classes to other agents on how to crush it with YouTube.
Yep.
So Charlie and I are not saying good, bad, or otherwise about any of these, but if you spread yourself super thin across all the platforms, you may multitask yourself to death.
And YouTube should probably be on here. I'm an advocate of, now that's not one to set and forget, right? You don't want to have a YouTube page and then have your video be from 5 years ago. But I'm happy to start with having the first video of anybody that wants to be on the Allegiance Way show, right? That goes on YouTube as the first video, and then there's no reason why we all cannot do a quick and dirty market update, right, once a month for our friends on Facebook and have it broadcast to YouTube at the same time. And then you're good. And then put your listing videos on YouTube. I mean, if you did just that, you'd have probably on average 20 pieces of content a year. You'd have the 12 monthly videos and you have 8 listings, and that's more than most.
Yes.
And it makes you look good. It makes you look like you're hip and in the know, and video first. We've been hearing that for years, and I think it makes a lot of sense. We talked about referral sites and HomeLight. There's a bunch of other ones we can grab and put on the Allegiance web.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on down to take advantage of the Remax content, created content. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Well, they're just, so those of you who've heard us but say, yeah, but, right? That's all very well and good to Google myself, but what am I supposed to do when I find my content is lacking?
Yep.
A lot of us struggle and wish we had some graphic skill. I know people who go ahead and pay for some pretty high-end graphic design software and don't learn to use it because it's not the highest, best use of the time of a real estate agent. So
Agreed.
Please take advantage of the design, the marketing, the logo, the branding resources that are available to you if you are a Remax agent. The Design Center has an incredibly diverse library, everything from web commercials to feature cards, like you name it. Really incredible things. Photify is an app available to all of us who are Remax agents. What is it, $4 a month, $4.99?
I think so. Yeah, it's
incredibly
cheap.
Beautiful, really, really beautiful ways. You're probably jealous of your friend who's so tech savvy and they have all the apps and they know how to make things look cool. This does it for you with the Remax brand. Right. Remax Hustle provides those pre-made commercials, super short and cute, that you get to bookend with your contact information and post those. And then Remax Marketing, Charlie, you were explaining to me, remaxmarketing.com.
So that has all sorts of things from stats to branding claims. Remax is the #1 selling real estate company in the world. Write flyers on that stuff. So, check that out. There's lots on there. And there's also the Remax stickers that you can get for free via Max Center that are actually pretty cool. That's a little app that you download.
Yep.
And I use it all the time, often on friends that are not doing anything with real estate. I just do it, just to kind of be cute.
Yeah.
They may not think it's cute, but I do. So that's another resource as well.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Remax Allegiance specific stuff, I mentioned earlier that we will do a Google My Business page for associates for free. Maybe Jerusalem can put the link for that service in the comments. And the Bouge website, that is the free website provided through Remax LLC. We'll set that up for free. And then Social Max was just introduced in the last few days. And we did a deal with RAS Media, a big kind of media conglomerate that works in the real estate industry. I describe them as Inman without the edge, right? John Featherston, who runs Riz Media, is not the in-your-face, gotcha, always looking for the angle, and the quote Brad Inman type. I love Brad Inman. It's just totally different companies and totally different ways of doing business. Anyway, they post on a regular basis to social media. This thing is $25. If you were to sign up for it through Riz Media, it'd be $40. They have an algorithm, so they don't post the same content on the same day to all the same agents in the same market. We've seen that before. I'm friends with obviously a lot of agents on Facebook, and sometimes they subscribe to these services, and you'd be flipping through your feed, and there'd be 4 of the exact same post at the same time.
Yep.
Now, are many consumers going to see that? Maybe if they're friends with lots of realtors, probably not, but it doesn't make you look great. So that content is more national based. It is timely. They had articles on how to work from home during a pandemic as an example and stuff like that. And Riz Media, like we said, it's a media company. So, they do this the right way. You're not going to get a stampede of leads from this.
No.
Like, the point is you look like you're posting on a regular basis. You're in the know, but this is not a Facebook ad that generates a bunch of leads. That's a different discussion for a different day, but that's Social Max. You can check that out as well.
Charlie, I think you're making a super great point about our topic today.
Yeah.
We're talking about your online presence. Is the point that if you put up a current photo on Zillow that you'll just get flooded with leads? No.
Right.
Having your online presence professional, consistent, and representative of your value gives you a fighting chance.
Right, exactly.
It's like saying, if I go buy business cards, will I have listings? Well, no, but you still have to do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
This is not about search engine optimization. This is not about generating a huge lead funnel. That is a whole nother discussion, but this is still absolutely vital to the consistent visibility of your brand over time.
Yeah, and like we mentioned a few minutes ago, there was an agent who emailed me a couple months ago, and we were advertising this show, and she said, "I'm not on Facebook."
Oh.
And it's like, okay, watch it on YouTube then. But I was, that you need to have a presence on these platforms for when people Google you. And I guarantee you, had I pushed back on her and I chose not to, she would have said, "I only work by referral. I don't need it." But you know what? If somebody has referred you to the 25-year-old millennial, they're going to Google you. And if you are dust in the internet ether, they may contact the other agent that has the presence. So, and again, you won't even know it. This is not like I'm losing business. This is the crisis. You won't even know that you're losing the business. So that's why we need to be on top of it. What you can post. So Remax Allegiance comes out with an infographic every month. We used to compare year-over-year stats, but those weren't looking that hot, so we stopped doing that, right? And we just started putting out stats, what's happening today, and because I think the year-over-year stats, it would make the market look bad when, frankly, the market is hot, and we don't want to tell or give our clients the wrong impression. Reviews. We've only got a few minutes left. For me, I think starting with Zillow is important. Zillow, you can send out a link from the transaction to the client so they review the right transaction, right? And I like asking for these reviews after you've gone under contract before closing. If you wait till after closing, they've kind of moved on with their life, and they're not as willing to do it. That's at least in my experience. But I start with Zillow, even though, yes, the reviews have to be reviewed by Zillow. It's not like an automatic thing. But again, because there's so many people that go to Zillow, these other review sites, Facebook, Google, Yelp is great. But people go to Zillow to look for realtors. They don't typically go to Facebook and Google to look for realtors. So once you have an appropriate number of reviews for your business, and I think that number varies depending on how much volume you do or how many transactions you do in a given year. The number that sticks out to me is 20. Right. Once you have 20 reviews, maybe you pivot and spend a little bit of time gathering reviews on other sites, but you still want to have up-to-date reviews on Zillow. So you don't want to get 20 reviews on Zillow and then ignore it for 2 or 3 years, but you can spend a little bit more time on a Facebook or a Google. If you have a young, savvy client, can you ask them for reviews on multiple sites? Probably. Do you want to do that with everybody? I say probably not. Just stick with the one. And if you're like, I have no online presence, where do I start? I would start with Zillow and go back, contact the clients. I have Tom Ferry coaching clients that are doing this now because I'm all over them, right? Go back, gather your reviews, right? And it's painful. People ignore you. You may need to entice them with a little bit of a, hey, I'll throw you a gift card, if you review me, and then setting the expectation at the beginning of the transaction. I think you have spoken about this before, the idea of, I want this to go so smoothly for you that you're have no doubt about giving me a 5-star review on Zillow. So you're setting the expectation that you're going to ask. And then when you do ask, a month later, hopefully, then, they'll be ready to do it. What do you have to add to that? I feel like I've been doing most of the talking on this show, which is a little unusual.
No, I think that's excellent. I think you did a really good job of making it clear. Focus, go back, just be gracious, ask them to do it, get it done. Do it this week. Okay, anecdote. I taught a class on Zillow, and because I'd been a coach and a trainer so long, Zillow came along in the midst of my doing other things, and I didn't take it seriously, and I did not have a consistent practice.
Okay.
waiting for them, but it's the night before my class on getting Zillow reviews. So I called 5 clients and asked them for reviews, and by the next morning, I had 4 5 stars and one 4.8. But I had it by the morning. So don't
Nice. Yeah.
jump right on this.
Yep.
You can do it.
Yep. I like it. Tomorrow and Thursday, Amy and I are taking an online class. We will not be with you all tomorrow. Amy will be back on Friday because I'm taking another class on Friday. So Amy will be back flying solo on Friday, doing geographic farms, and then look for some announcements next week about where we're taking the daily dose and the show. I think we're going to try to switch some stuff up a little bit. Most Allegiance offices are going to be back open on a full-time basis beginning Monday. So it may be a good time for us to pivot again, because we're always trying to do something a little bit new and fresh. So look for that in your email box and on the Facebook group shortly. What else today, Amy?
No, I just want everybody to know we always want to bring you great content. So, comment on YouTube or on Facebook. Let us know what you're interested in. We are changing it up all the time to bring you things to make you better.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Would love suggestions on topics that people need. So stay safe, stay sane, guard your mindset, and be aware of your gratitudes, keeping that in check and writing those down as well. And we'll see you later. Take care, everybody.
Bye.